different from me.
It ain't easy staying alive in this city.
This life is gonna work, isn't it?
We'll make it work.
I cannot wait to see this fight.
This isn't the end of a fight. This is the start of one.
Let's head to Spain. Of course, you know we've got to give you some La Liga love and some La Liga action. And you can see Levante and Real Betis are going to be kicking off some of the action there in La Liga, and it's an early one in terms of a goal here.
Adrian de la Fuente saying Carlo SP who?
Look how quick this is, because there are so many goals within this one. A Betis team that had a great pre-season and a great response. So much expectations on them and wanting to go to Europe, and you can see that they wanted to equalise here as well, Mike.
This comes all the way from La Masia. Marc Bartra, the former Barca man, getting in on the action.
Big goals just before half-time, though, and Levante showcasing that they're going to be a little bit feisty this year. But look at this one for a Golazo!
Yeah. Ooh! Enzo Bardelli getting his first goal in La Liga.
I feel sorry for our production team and having to choose one of these today, but Rodrigo Riquelme has started his season brilliantly, and a couple of goals now, and really time what he needs to do for his big season for in a better shirt. Second half, though, Levante really turning up the heat.
Yeah, Roger Brugge getting in on the action. This Levante side, remember, they lost their best player from a season ago, Jaydee, in Carlos SP, and they are making you forget that Carlos SP is at Real Madrid right now.
Yeah,
Football has a funny way of just unleashing performances like
That's
this.
Brugge's sixth brace in La Liga this season as well, so that really does show in terms of what he's able to do. And look at this in terms of a glancing header, just a little bit of class at the end to add icing on the cake for Levante. 5 of the best from one of the best teams in Spain. All right, let's head to Sociedad right now and look at this. Against Espanyol, you can see the passion and most importantly the moments, the important ones in San Sebastian. So we can head now to the 4th minute for an early start.
Yeah, Ander Barrenetxea is a player whose name will go down in Real Sociedad history because he scored the fastest goal in Copa del Rey final history against Atleti back in May. There's this telepathic connection between him and World Cup winner Mikel Oyarzabal, and Oyarzabal doing Oyarzabal things with the assist.
Magic player, no doubt about it, but a great response in terms of Espanyol just before the break.
Yeah, this is an Espanyol side that has a killer in Roberto Fernandez. He actually scored the equalizer reverse fixture last campaign. He had a brace in the opening match of the La Liga season, and now he's just scoring goals for fun.
What a ball from Javi Hernandez as well. Put it on a plate. But you spoke about his name, and like the Magic Man says, you say my name 3 times and I definitely will appear. And Oyarzabal getting himself involved in the action once again.
Yeah, look, Batman has Robin, Oyarzabal has definitely Ori Oskarsson. The Icelandic wonder is one to watch in the La Liga. He just loves playing under Pellegrino Matarazzo, who his side went to the Santiago Bernabeu in the midweek and got taught a footballing lesson by Jude Bellingham midweek. So it's a good bounce back, but it's also good finishing and counter-attack play.
When you talk about the big 3, we're not talking about LeBron, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh. No, we're talking about Real Madrid, Barcelona, and of course, Atletico Madrid. All smiles right now from Cholo Simeone as Sevilla find themselves in town. Let's see what they can turn around and do on the road in this one.
Yeah, Alex Baena has come out like a bat out of hell, cannot stop scoring. It's good to see him and Lee Kang-in contributing the goals. Going back to the opening match against Malaga, both him and Lee banged in the goals for Atleti at the Metropolitano.
And Alex Baena showcasing what he can do, and really 3rd game in terms of his contributions in this one. Talk about another player that loves contributions in the final third. Look no further than my Nigerian brother in arms. Ademola Lookman finding a goal at the near post. This sensation is really showcasing what he can do. Goals at the end of last season and now kickstarting this one as well. But you spoke about Alex Baena, so give me the introduction as to why he's so great once again, Mike Lahoud.
We have a saying on the Golazo network, and it came from Adrian Garcia Marquez. He can go chick, chick, boom at any given time. Scoring goals for fun outside of the goal. In the box, he's looking like a proper center forward. 3
of the best from Atleti in terms of the first half. A little bit of complacency in the second half, but great response in terms of from Sevilla.
Yeah, Miguel Sada, look, this is a Sevilla side that's missing the crux of their attacking core from a season ago. So you're going to need goals from different departments, but they got completely outclassed on the day by Atleti.
All right, let's focus in terms of what the game actually produced. I mean, look at the amount of shots, first of all, from Sevilla. I know it's not often that you put 20 shots on goal at some point and you don't actually come out with all 3 points, but the clinical edge was all from Atleti. And the most important statistic on this graphic is the 3 goals at the bottom of it and the all 3 points, Atletico Madrid. But we know naturally, look, they've been the center of attention for a large part of this transfer window, and we will focus on Julian Alvarez. But I want to focus on the players that produced today. And you spoke about Alex Baena and what you wanted to to see from him now. We know the big transfer fee he came from last season, the expectations that were on his shoulders. Is this now a showcase of what he can do going forward in this Atleti shirt?
It's a showcase of excellence. I'm a big fan of Alex Baena. I actually remember him well beyond his Villarreal days. I definitely thought he was one of the reasons why. Remember the Spanish team that won gold at the Paris Olympics? You were there, Jaydee.
I was there.
He was cooking. Most people were talking about Fermin Lopez, rightfully so, because he was outstanding. But I was watching Alex Baena just do Alex Baena things. He's a player that's versatile, but seeing him healthy, finally healthy. Remember coming into last season, he wasn't fully fit, Jaydee. And this is why just the football congestion, this is why players needing not be judged on what they do at first, but what they can do in the full breath. This is a player who joins some royalty from Atleti. He's the first Atletico player to be involved in goals in the first 3 matches at the start of a campaign since Angel Correa, who is an Atleti legend himself. Definitely a versatile player himself, and Alex Baena, I think he's going to maybe have us forget about a certain other player who maybe doesn't want to be at the club.
We can take a deep breath, and no doubt about it, there'll be a deeper focus in terms of the player that he's talking about in Julian Alvarez. But I want to focus on the quartet, or the players that's in this attacking third. Soloff, we know, is recovering from an injury, and that's rightfully so. He can have his recovery time. But I looked at the other players that were on show today, the Kangs of the world, and we saw Baena you're talking about as well. Is there enough with you adding Ademola Lookman to that fray? Is there enough there for Atleti to turn around and contest? Because there isn't just expectations in La Liga, there's also expectations in Europe as well.
Yeah, this is an Atleti side that they're showing their ambition, but you have to show ambition, you have to have ambition to keep up with Barcelona and Real Madrid. Last season, it was incredible to see the resolve in the back half of the season. It felt like their season was made. I know they lost in the Champions League semifinal, but it felt like that moment, those moments against Barcelona in the UEFA Champions League in Copa del Rey, it showed me that there was something about this Atleti side that under Cholo Simeone, the project still has life. Now, the biggest question mark I had was what would life without Antoine Griezmann look like for Atleti? Because last season, he was at his imperious best at the back end of the season. But when you have players like Alex Baena coming in, when you have players like Lee Kang-in coming in and proving, I want to be a part of this project and have an instant impact in the second stint in La Liga, you're going to think, okay, we have a chance. Looking at the upcoming matches, Athletic Club, they're in a bad way right now financially and on the pitch. This is an Atleti side that I think will get the job done definitely against Liverpool, who we'll get to in a bit. But I just wonder if you need some of your veterans to speak up and just put some of the distractions off to the side before the season can really kick off. This was a massive, massive win and a statement win for Atleti, though.
Let's focus on the distractions, because we don't run away from anything here on Scoreline. We focus and we dive straight into all of the issues. So after the break, we'll continue our Atleti chat and talk about their star man, Julian Alvarez. Will he stay? Will he go? We'll find out.
See you Sunday, Jim. Whoa! Delivery.
Thanks, Kirk.
You like that? See you Sunday, Jim.
Sunday.
See you Sunday. See you Sunday.
See you Sunday.
I just got my pilot's license. See you Sunday!
The whole town can feel it. Sunday's coming.
The NFL on CBS, streaming all season on Paramount+.
See you Sunday.
That's my boy Cam Skydmove.
Whoa!
The best prospects are ready to fight for their dreams.
I sacrificed and pushed through the pain. I'm truly a dreamer.
These guys know what's on the line. They want that contract.
Weeknights are a whole lot better. Show me who you are. Be excited to be here. Be fired up to fight. Get the finish, earn the contract.
I had to make a lot of sacrifices to get to where I'm at, and that's why I'm not going to be stopped.
I put in the hard work. I can pass a test.
This is your moment to shine.
Did you not see the last challenge?
This is The Challenge, Cutthroat, exclusively on Paramount+. On this season, the winning captain will be the sole decider on how to split $500,000.
Let the cutthroat begin.
They are not ready for this.
Trial by combat.
No way!
This has been a wonderful 24 hours for me, yeah.
Yeah, the Hardigans. Don't know the name? Then Google us.
This family that I work for is on the brink of civil war. Ripe for the picking.
I like your style. everybody breaks, and when she breaks, who knows what spills out.
Where are you sending us?
Well, this is a fun one.
See you Sunday.
Whoa! See you Sunday, Jim. Delivery.
Sunday's coming.
The NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount+.
Keep running.
You must not know us.
The agency is cleaning house, whatever it takes.
What are you keeping from me?
It ain't easy staying alive in this city.
This life is gonna work, isn't it?
We'll make it work.
I cannot wait to see this fight.
This isn't the end of a fight. This is the start of one.
Welcome back into Scoreline. You know what time it is. We actually make sure we focus on the details. So I actually want to make sure before we get into this debate around Julian Alvarez, and rightfully so, we're going to show you the history of the notable players that have actually swapped from Atletico Madrid and Barcelona, just to showcase that even the stuff that you read in the media right now, there is still a precedence and a history for a deal between these two clubs. Luis Suarez, Antoine Griezmann, Sergio Aguero, David Villa, João Felix, Memphis Depay, and Arda Turan. So many other names, so many world-class players that have actually made the transition from one top team to another. That's all important in terms of for a case study all the way through, because we want to welcome in, first of all, our YouTube family, who will no doubt about it, going to be very vocal throughout this conversation, and we're encouraging it. Make sure your questions are there, make sure your points are there, because we have the experts in Mike Lahoud, and now introducing, of course, fresh, Phil Kitchomidis. Phil, always good to see you as always, my friends, and you know I love your insight in regards to anything that's a Liga focus, and I think I just want to give you the first touch here. Where do we stand right now? Because we can see some of the notable press releases that's coming out, some of the journalists that's putting out statements. Where are we right now between the Julian Alvarez saga and, of course, Atletico Madrid?
Well, Julian Alvarez went to train on his own, which is a step up from what's happened the previous few days, because he hadn't trained the previous few days. Yesterday, he trained on his own, didn't feature, of course, for Atletico Madrid in their game tonight against Sevilla, and the ball seems to be in his court, or at least I think it is, because the move to Barcelona isn't on the cards. It isn't happening. A move to Arsenal could potentially happen. Arsenal are obviously interested. But now with 3 days to go in the transfer market, do Atletico Madrid really want to sell Julian Alvarez? Imagine they get 150 million euros for him. What are they going to do with those 150 million euros at this late stage? So I think if an offer had come in maybe 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 4 days ago from Arsenal, and it had been accepted and they had a week to get some big business done, then that might have looked on the cards. Right now, what I see happening is what I've been saying I think is going to happen for the last few days. I think he stays. I think he stays. Begrudgingly, and then they try and turn this around. But to Barcelona, we know he's not going, and to Arsenal, he doesn't really want to go to Arsenal, and Atletico Madrid don't really have time to try and find someone in the transfer market of his level to replace him.
72 hours is a long time, Phil. Don't worry about it. There's still a long time in the market.
Guy, bro. Don't let him gaslight you. This guy, bro.
72 hours is a long time, Mike Lahoud. But take me behind the player insight. You know what it's like to be in a changing room. So I want to know, if he is to stay, as Phil was alluding to, how do they rebuild that relationship? What type of bridges are going to be burnt, and how do they go on from here if Julian does remain in Atleti?
He's going to have a long list of apologies. First and foremost, you have to apologize to the fans, but also you have to apologize to the managers. I've had a teammate who wanted away from the club. It was a World Cup year, and the message that I felt as a player who wanted to be part of this project, who was willing to sweat, who was willing to sacrifice, all those things go into being a top professional footballer at a club like Atleti. Atleti's a big club. It's not a small club. Julian Alvarez is a World Cup winner. He's not Lionel Messi. So I get it. Players, they have their own ambitions, but the first thing you need to do if you're Alvarez, you better go in, have a chat with Cholo Simeone, and apologize till kingdom come, because he got this completely wrong. I went on record yesterday on Scoreline. I thought about it from the human element and the human standpoint of things. And I want to apologize to the fans out there, because I'm going to hold myself accountable. I thought about the humanity of it, but I'm going to think as a professional. Julian Alvarez right now is acting like a spoiled, petulant brat. He's not getting what he wants. I know he's come out and said, hey, mentally I'm not okay. And I want to honor that. But in terms of his actions, Jaydee, it's very bratish. He's not getting his way, and he's just doing this. If I don't get my move, fine, I'll sit here. I won't do anything. That's not professional.
Well, I think if you gave an apology to the people, this feels like the perfect time to make sure that people were understood. Your comments, your questions, everything will be reflected within the show. We want to see it down there in the YouTube comments. Phil, how do you respond to that? Do you feel like he's being a sport brat, as Mike has alluded to, or do you feel like there's something deeper at work here?
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Mike is saying, to be honest. And also, what we're hearing is that the dressing room, the locker room, are super disappointed with Julian and how he's behaved this last week. He might have, in turn, felt a little bit disappointed that they left him on his own to walk down the tunnel at the end of the game that they played at the weekend against Villarreal, when he was just left to walk on his own. Nobody came with him, and subsequently he's come out and not trained for the last 3 days. But what I'm hearing is that the dressing room, the locker room, very, very disappointed with him. And what I've been told by someone who knows the situation, Diego Simeone can't even look at him. Like, Diego Simeone is furious, absolutely furious with Julian Alvarez, and rightly so. Like, this is his guy. This is someone who he defended publicly, consistently last season when Julian Alvarez went nearly 4 months without scoring a goal. He was never questioned by Simeone, never a bad word from Simeone, constantly backed and supported 100%. This is their most important player, their franchise player. The whole project is built around Julian Alvarez. And for him to come out and do this, listen, you have a contract, Julian. You have a contract. I don't care what was promised to you behind the scenes. I don't care what you necessarily want to do, what your dream is to do. You signed a very, very, very well-paid contract to provide services for Atletico Madrid. Now, you might want to go and do that elsewhere, but it is entirely up to Atletico Madrid if they want to sell you or not. You've made your point clear, but Atletico are completely in their right to say no. We don't want to sell our best player to one of our biggest competitors. Absolutely not. So I'm afraid Julian might feel like he's been extremely hard done by, but he's in the wrong here. And quite clearly, anybody looking at this from outside can see, and if you're not a Barcelona fan, you're not an Athletic, you're just looking at this outside, well, you know, he's got a contract for another 4 years. Just, you know, suck it up and play. A deal can be done in a few years' time. You're a young guy. So, yeah, I agree with Mike and his assessment. He's been assessed very bad, Julian, and he's not played this the right way at all.
You know the DNA of Atleti. It's been the DNA since the moment that Cholo came through the door. It's Atleti versus everybody else. They've kind of allowed themselves to become the enemy in their framework, in their football, in their philosophy. But Phil has alluded to it. They have changed over the last few years. They've made Julian their linchpin. They've made Julian their pinpoint and their franchise player. So is he justified in having that disappointment and not being able to look at somebody that he's invested so much in Cholo?
Yeah, look, Cholo Simeone, the justification of his disappointment, is what you're asking? Look, if I'm Cholo Simeone, I am very angry right now, because I remember when Julian Alvarez, and we've seen the Pep Guardiola documentary, where he said one of the most difficult things he had to do was let Julian Alvarez leave the club, because he was a player he knew he needed to maintain the success. Julian wanted to be the main man, Jaydee, at a football club. He wanted to be the main man at a top European football club who was begging, crying out for a talisman. Antoine Griezmann was not getting any younger. Atleti is a fantastic club. They've given us some of the most memorable nights in European football, in La Liga, in Spanish football. You remember us covering, I think it was the 5-2 win in the Madrid derby at the start of last season. Yep. There is very little stadiums across Europe, and especially in Spain, that have the magic and the aura of the Metropolitano. It's going to be the home of the Champions League final. When you're a player, and so Cholo Simeone says, you want to be the main man? I'll give you the keys to the castle of one of the biggest clubs in the world, a Champions League club that was a semifinalist a year ago, that's been 2 finals, that's built on hard work, but most of all, this Atleti team, you mentioned us against the world, it's built on trust. As a player, you're only as good as the trust a manager has put in you, and Cholo Simeone has put all his faith in Julian, his own countryman, Jaydee. The betrayal, I must wonder how deep the betrayal goes for Cholo Simeone right now, a Cholo who's at the World Cup, going to see him, and his son, of course, and Giuliano, but supporting him, thinking, okay, this is going to be the year we kick on. He's going to be the new king of the Metropolitano. Now he looks like the court jester. It's disappointing, and in a year and in just an era where we see so much player power, it's really disappointing that this summer you look at one country and you look at just the theme right now, and we've seen other players do it, but you see Emi Martinez doing it for Aston Villa, Enzo Fernandez doing it with Chelsea. Julian Alvarez doing it with Atleti. There's something happening about this arrogance, and it's not just Argentinian players, but I think it's football players as a whole. There's this arrogance, there's an entitlement, and there's just this childishness right now. If I don't get what I want, I'm going to down tools. I'm just going to sit right here, not train.
Accountability is one of Mike's favourite words, and rightfully so, it's one of mine as well. So where are we putting the ownership in terms of this? Because when the grumbles came out in the World Cup, we've seen some of the comments that were said to the media. So Phil, as a member of the media, do you feel like he's been mismanaged, misadvised in terms of from some of his seniors, advisors, or people that are within the Alvarez camp?
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to March. You know, these first comments came out after the Spurs Champions League clash. He was asked, you know, can you guarantee that you'll be here next season as Atletico Madrid? And he said, yeah, maybe I can, maybe I can't. Who knows, you know? And that's not the right answer to give in this situation, Julian. Like, I am not a PR specialist, but I know you don't give that kind of answer unless you're trying to set the ball moving to try and force a move, and you've been told to say that. And then when he said it at the World Cup as well, it was even more explicit. The club should let me move, you know, it's best for everyone for a transfer so I can go and fulfill my dream. I genuinely think that he has been poorly advised. Now, we genuinely don't know what he was told behind the scenes. Maybe he was told by Atletico Madrid, if you bring us a big enough offer from a club, you can go. But then Atletico Madrid have sort of put their foot in and said, we're not selling to Barcelona. And for them, it feels like, you know, what Mike was talking about it, you know, this is the cornerstone of their project. And for future transfers as well, they do not want Atletico Madrid to be seen as a stepping stone to a bigger club. You come to Atleti to try and challenge for trophies. They haven't won that many trophies, but, you know, they have won La Liga a couple of times and Champions League semi-finalists and finalists. But the idea is that to sort of push this forward and go to the next level, and you need someone like Julian Alvarez to stay, not to try and use Atletico Madrid as a stepping stone to get to Barcelona. So that's where they're moving it, they're looking at it from. But if you're talking about ownership, you know, what I was saying before, Atletico Madrid have done nothing wrong. They have a player who is contracted for another 4 years to play for them, very well paid. He's been given all the support and love from the club, and he's repaid them like this. So I think it is entirely down to Julian Alvarez, his poor advice that he's received, the way that he's acted, and the club, Atletico Madrid, they have absolutely no need to sell him. If they don't want to sell him, they don't have to sell him, and they're not going to sell him to Barcelona.
I want to get some of our YouTube family's comments involved, because Spadley makes actually a great point. Thinking about it from the opposite perspective, if it was, let's say, the player that was mistreated or didn't want out, or the club didn't want the player anymore, and there was 4 years left in his contract, Atletico would have no problem in pushing that player out. We've seen that a number of times within football. So why do we put such a pinpoint when the players come around and says that they want to leave a situation and advance their career? I can see Phil reading. You immediately reacted when I said that. So I'm going to give you the first serve then. So why is it fair that we turn around and put the pressure on them?
Because you've signed a contract, so the club can do what they like. Yeah. The club can do what they like with you. I'm sorry to put it in such blunt terms. If they want to sell you, they can, and you want to leave, then you can go. And if they don't want to sell you, they don't have to sell you. When you sign that contract and when you get those absolutely enormous wages, that's the deal that you make. Like, I'm signing over my future to this sporting entity. I now work for you. I will do what you want me to do. Like, it's up to them. So if it was on the other foot, it would be entirely up to Atletico Madrid if they wanted to sell that player.
Yeah, Phil, I'm in full agreement with you. I can't believe we're still having this conversation, and I can't believe Julian hasn't kind of grown up, Jaydee, and saying, was it mi culpa? My fault? That's as far as my Spanish goes. Culpa mia. How about that? It is just shocking to me that we live in a day of immature footballers. And look, there's a time when I used to be one myself, and there's a time to do the right thing if you're Julian Alvarez. I'll say this. Atletico Madrid don't have any loyalty to anyone but Atleti and their fans. They don't deserve, or Julian doesn't deserve, they don't owe Julian anything, right? And as a footballer, there comes a time when your reputation and your image now becomes blemished because of things like this. We think of Alexander Isak, the fact that he downed tools and the way he went out at Liverpool. You now, should you force that move, you better come good. You better, if it's Barcelona or Arsenal, whenever that happens, should he ever get that move, you better come with it, because look at the image and how much it's tarnished of Alexander Isak. I know injuries have definitely blighted him, but it's just a sour way to tarnish an image that at one point, Cholo Simeone and Atleti, Koke, even after the Champions League debacle, when he had the double touch in the Champions League against Madrid, there are teams out there, there are clubs out there that you'd be crucified for. Every single one of those players went to his aid and said, hey, it's okay. We stand by Julian. It happens. Mistakes happens in football. He was wrong for it. Us here on Scoreline, remember Ian Joy was going ballistic about the rules, Thierry Henry and everything. Now, this is a point where it's disappointing to see someone who at one point I thought was going to be a cult hero for Atleti.
Yeah.
You think of what might have been, how Luis Suarez became a cult hero, leaving Barcelona to win Atleti, La Liga. Julian Alvarez could have been the next in line to be the next cult hero. Antoine Griezmann. You think of, just so many of the players that come through the line. Now he's become a cult villain. He's public enemy number one at the Metropolitano. He might be public enemy number one right now outside of world football, outside of Barcelona.
Phil, as always, as always, valued. And thank you so much for your insight as well. And with only 72 hours left in the window, it's down to the 4 A's. Could you imagine Atleti, Alvarez, and I didn't even mention Arsenal in all of this conversation. But some of the La Liga fixtures that we've got coming up, of course, Real Madrid versus Malaga is going to be a huge one. Deportivo versus Valencia is going to be a big game as well in the afternoon. And wrapping it up with Celta Vigo versus Athletic Club. All of the Sunday fixtures live on ESPN+. You can catch all of the La Liga action. But coming up after the break, we're not finished here on Scoreline. You know what time it is. Since we're talking about number 9s in world football, let's talk about Alexander Isak and his Liverpool teammates and see how they got on today.
See you Sunday, Jim. Whoa! Delivery.
Thanks, Kirk.
You like that? See you Sunday, Jim.
Sunday.
See you Sunday.
See you Sunday.
See you Sunday.
I just got my pilot's license. See you Sunday!
The whole town can feel it. Sunday's coming.
The NFL on CBS streaming all season on Paramount+.
See you Sunday.
That's my boy Cam Scandal.
Whoa!
The best prospects are ready to fight for their dreams.
I sacrificed and pushed through the pain. I'm truly a dreamer.
These guys know what's on the line. They want that contract.
Weeknights are a whole lot better. Show me who you are. Be excited to be here. Be fired up to fight. Get the finish, earn the contract.
I had to make a lot of sacrifices to get to where I'm at, and that's why I'm not going to be stopped.
I put in the hard work. I can pass a test.
This is your moment to shine.
Did you not see the last challenge?
This is The Challenge, Cutthroat, exclusively on Paramount+. On this season, the winning captain will be the sole decider on how to split $500,000.
Let the cutthroat begin.
They are not ready for this.
Trial by combat.
No way!
This has been a wonderful 24 hours for me, yeah.
Yeah, the Hooligans. Don't know the name? And Google us.
This family that I work for is on the brink of civil war.
Ripe for the picking.
I like your style.
Sorry.
Everybody breaks, and when she breaks, who knows what spills out.
Where are you sending us?
Well, this is a fun one.
See you Sunday.
Whoa! See you Sunday, Jim. Delivery.
Sunday's coming.
The NFL on CBS streaming on Paramount+.
Keep running.
You must not know us.
The agency is cleaning house, whatever it takes.
What are you keeping from me?
It ain't easy staying alive in this city.
This life is gonna work, isn't it?
We'll make it work.
I cannot wait to see this fight.
This isn't the end of a fight. This is the start of one.
Welcome back into Scoreline. It's perfect because with Scoreline Extra Time, we get a little bit of a deeper dive into some of the bigger storylines from today. And there's no bigger story than Liverpool coming from behind to get a draw at home, I might add, to Nottingham Forest. I mean, the question marks around the changes, the players, the quality, and of course, the coaching staff has all been one that Liverpool have had to answer so far this season. But again, a number of questions overall as to the direction that the club is going in. And let's not forget, only a couple of years ago, you're talking about a team that was lifting the Premier League trophy for the very first time in a little while. Back-to-back trophies, back-to-back moments, and unfortunately, back-to-back draws as well for Liverpool to open up their season campaign. Michael, just give me your biggest takeaways and what you've seen from Liverpool to kick-start their campaign this season.
Yeah, I think Liverpool look like a side that look very fragile right now in the same particular areas. And yes, there's some upgrades in the centre-back position. Jeremy Jacquet, I thought he was actually decent on this match, a player who there's a lot of high hopes for. But we're talking about a lot of the same issues, Jaydee. The middle of the park, yet again, poor in transition. And on the day, they made James McAtee look like Andrea Pirlo, bossing the midfield. That midfield got owned. The midfield that had Florian Wirtz in it, that had Alexis McAllister, that had Dominic Szoboszlai. That midfield got bypassed and run through on the regular. And we're sitting here talking about a Liverpool draw, not a defeat, but it feels like another loss for Liverpool.
And that's the problem. I feel like we're always referring to these Liverpool results right now, especially at the beginning season of the season, and actually looking at the difficulty that they've had, the struggles that they've had. But there was one thing that I think that we should focus on, which was a little bit of a technical controversy they had on the sideline. Now, I want to give you the timeline and the actual right moments here to make sure that you are up to date in terms of you didn't see the game today. This is obviously a triple sub that Areola is trying to make in the situation. You can see Rio trying to come on, of course, Gravenberch and Tsimikas. It seems like it was a routine situation, right? 67 minutes into it, you want to see a quick change. There's an element of frustration. Please take note of all those watching the highlights. Look at the time that it's taking to actually make sure that this situation is occurring. Again, a technical fault, a technical situation, and again, then here we go. Here's the problem. Now, this is from the pitch perspective. A quick throw there from Nottingham Forest, and of course, you know the rest in terms of a penalty and a situation. So I want to know, from this situation, Areola wanted to make sure that his point and his view was heard after the game.
Get your view on the penalty, because it appeared though you were looking to make a substitution and then the quick throw-in was taken, and then also the action that led to the penalty as well.
Yes, I cannot explain because I don't have explanation. I wanted to make those 3 subs like 3 minutes before, and there have been 2, 3, 4 times I think the ball has gone out, and I still don't know the reason why we haven't made the subs. I think definitely he was having some problems with the board or something. Would have happened definitely if you stop because I want to sub. It doesn't happen. The quick throw-in because we are waiting for the sub. So if I ask for the sub, and I already asked and I complained even the previous time that the ball went out, and everyone was, even the supporters, I think they were shouting and everyone was aware of the situation. But I don't know the reason why they haven't done, and the penalty, I leave you to decide if it's a penalty or not.
So for context, for all those that might not be aware, I want to make sure that you understand. If a referee has a technical situation, we've seen enough football to understand that the game is faulted. Technically, this is the referee's assistant that's going through a technical situation. It was clearly initiated that Areola wanted to make a sub, and he wasn't enabled or able to do such. I want to know from your perspective, first of all, could you understand his frustration in terms of in his post-match comments as to why he wasn't able to make the substitution and also why the game wasn't paused?
I mean, we spend so much money nowadays in football for technology. And yet again, in the Premier League, this isn't the first time that technology has failed in a football match in the Premier League. How many times last season did we hear, oh, wait a second, Jaydee, VAR is not working while the game. Okay, hold on, we don't know what to do. I mean, what are we doing here in football? I think as a Liverpool fan, and if you're the biggest frustration is this. Alexander Isak had just scored. 60th minute. You have all the momentum in the world. We know that subs change football matches. Liverpool are on the front foot. They're back in the match. Anfield, the crowd is in it. And then you're about to make a sub, and you can't, as a manager, influence the match because of technology failing yet again. What are we doing on planet Earth that technology is the rules and the go-between between actually just having common sense and saying, if a manager wants to make a sub, just let him make a sub, Jaydee. This has a direct impact on the play and on this result, a result that puts added pressure on Areola. I know they didn't lose, but Liverpool fans, they're feeling right now, and they're asking the same question of, are we actually good enough in this Premier League season?
I want to make sure that our YouTube family is always involved, so encourage the comments, encourage the questions as well, so we can respond directly here live on set. But in the adverses, there were some bright spots, and we could sit here and we could talk about all of the controversies, all of the dramas, and all of the disappointments Liverpool fans have felt. But Florian Wirtz feels like he's finally getting a little bit of a rhythm, Mike. And we've seen so much expectation because of the huge price tag that was put on the playmaker. But did you see some bright sparks today in terms of from the number 10?
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a point where he actually made Jeremy Frimpong look like a serious footballer. And Jeremy Frimpong is someone that I want to get into very bit, but we're talking about Florian Wirtz because I think Liverpool have a big problem with both fullbacks. What I don't think is they have a problem with Florian Wirtz. I know a lot of people, especially in the British media and the English media, have just crucified him on an Anfield cross. I don't see the same things they do, right? And I know that we're talking about a player that went for buku bucks, but today he just looked more relaxed. He looked more free-flowing. Jurgen Klopp came out when they asked him very recently at the Bayern Munich-Stuttgart match yesterday, and they said, what are your thoughts about Florian Wirtz? And he literally said, everyone, relax. You need to play Florian Wirtz centrally. I know a lot of money was spent on him. Arne Slot put him in the wrong position, trying to put him out wide at times last season. And Liverpool fans are waiting for the big moments. But today, he had a goal that was just chalked back. And it just seemed like the Florian Wirtz of old. It is a step in the right direction. I said a word to you, and you thought I said the word success. This is not a success moment yet, but it is a massive confidence-building step to have the pass that he had for Victor Muñoz's goal. That is the quality and the first-class quality that he possesses. Now it's about stitching it together for 90 minutes. But this result was not on Florian Wirtz. He did his product in the end, and at the attacking end. What about the Alexis McAllisters, who look like his legs have gone? What about the Milos Kerkeses, who I don't think the two fullbacks, Jaydee, would even get into Jurgen Klopp's squad when he took over for Liverpool? And that's saying a lot, because that squad is nowhere near where they ended up being under Klopp by the time he left. So there's a lot that needs to be addressed for Liverpool. And I know reinforcements are coming in with the likes of Bradley Barcola. I know that there's news that Cody Gakpo, who actually looked decent in this match, he might be on his way out to Manchester City now. Yeah. So Liverpool, they look like an incomplete squad, but this is the building blocks of something positive in the final third. The fact that you get goals from Isak, who looked pedestrian outside of his goal, and you get assists from Florian Wirtz, okay, now that gives you a bit more confidence that they can produce something. This is their team to lead. But at the end of the day, if you can't defend and you give up giving easy goals, you got big problems.
I want to focus on some of the points because when Mike goes into such detail, it's important to try to break it down into segments. First of all, let's focus on the fullbacks. What do you want to see from them? Because you spoke about Frimpong, you've spoken about Kerkez being in a situation. Are they just not good enough? Is it just you're not seeing enough overall, or are they going to be able to improve? They've now been under two managers. They've had two head coaches. They've had two systems to try to adjust to. Are we being fair in terms of the body of work that we've seen from them in a Liverpool show?
I think we're being absolutely fair, and I think last season we were being way too kind to them. And you get a pass in your first season, but Milos Kerkez, at a certain point, I don't even think he's good enough to be a starter for Liverpool as a fullback. I would question if he was good enough to be on the squad, full stop, under Jurgen Klopp, under the glory days for Liverpool. He's been such a drop-off, and the thing I saw that you see it from last season, and you continue to see it in this match against Nottingham Forest. Oliver Glasner, it's as if he went out with this Forest side, and he says, every single time you get the ball, bypass the midfield, James McAtee hit a diagonal over the shoulders of both fullbacks. They look so vulnerable because from a physical standpoint, not just the two fullbacks who are very vulnerable physically, just from a mentality standpoint, they lack confidence, and the whole Liverpool team physically just looks weak right now, Jaydee.
Yeah. I want to break it down as well because you spoke about the engine room, and that's another conversation in its own right, because I think the Liverpool midfielders have been under question marks for, let's say, the better part of 3 to 4 years now. But number 9, that's always where your currency is going to be. Your number 9 is going to be the person that takes you to that next level. And Alexander Isak has responded. I've heard you throughout the show talk about the blights that he's had because of injuries, the inconsistencies which haven't always been his fault because of health. But that's always been a question mark around Alexander Isak. Real Sociedad, Newcastle, and now Liverpool. Do you want to see more from the Liverpool number 9 in these situations now, especially leading his team into what we call the promised land?
Yeah, Alexander Isak today, like I said, outside of the goal that he scored, definitely not the sort of level and the standard I think Liverpool fans will want. I don't know if we are ever going to see this sort of impact from Isak, scoring 20-plus goals. 27 goals is insane for a player not named Erling Haaland in the Premier League playing right now. I know that he suffered a broken leg, and I had a teammate who suffered a broken leg. One of the things that Alexander Isak is definitely dependent on is pace and speed. He looks like he's lost a step. I watched him at the World Cup, and it was him playing as a second forward. I know it's early days, but watching him, there was a point where he turned to running behind of Dyer and he looked, Jaydee, like he was running with a piano on his back, maybe two pianos. Alexander Isak will take a bit of time to get back to himself, but I stand by this. I don't know if we're going to see that sort of numbers and that sort of quality again from him for quite some time.
A broken leg is always difficult to respond to. I mean, you ask any athlete, and I always allude to you who's played at the highest level. You know players. We all know people that have had those level of injuries. You're saying that you don't see him respond at all. What do you want to see from him in terms of just the build-up? What can he do to try and build himself back up to the Alexander Isak that we've seen that has rocked the English Premier League since the moment he's come into it?
I think one thing that I saw from preseason that gave me a lot of hope for Isak was his first touch. You can tell a lot about attackers with their first touch, and especially strikers, where when that ball gets zipped in, the first touch is clean, it's sharp, bang, around the corner. There was a goal he scored against Monaco that made me say, actually, this looks like the fellow that terrorized Arsenal in the Carabao Cup semi-final not too long ago. On the day, it just felt like the game was passing him by. Now, I stand by this, that he did get his goal. So he obviously is showing that there is a bright spot, but Liverpool fans will want him more involved in that interchange and interconnection with Florian Wirtz. That's what I want to see, is I want to see them 1-2 give and goes, third man runs from players around him. This is now him and Florian Wirtz's team, Jaydee. They need to come good, and with a player like Bradley Barcola, that might be the difference maker for him to get back and get that groove back. Stella got a groove back.
She did get
Maybe Alexander Isak can get his groove back too.
Barcola, Isak and Muñez, so many exciting things for Liverpool still to focus on and still looking for their first win of the season. I don't know how the production team is going to choose our Golazo of the day, but what I will highlight to you first of all is our Premier League fixtures that's coming up tomorrow. Chelsea versus Brighton, always going to be the exciting one. Of course, Sunderland and Fulham, two teams that are really trying to establish themselves. Manchester United still looking for their first win of the season, and Leeds, a surprise package over the last 18 months, have really established themselves with Brentford coming into town. Okay, production team, let's see what you come up with, because I love my team here on Scoreline, and somehow they've managed to choose out of all of the bangers that we've had on this Saturday afternoon, this one from Sam Gallagher. Whoa!
Are you kidding me, man? Jeez. If the game would have just stopped right here, it would have been the best thing for Stoke City, but they got absolutely hammered on the day. Look, the championship has a lot of things, grit, passion, glory, but today it definitely had some bangers, and this is definitely top of the heap in the championship.
Credit to the production team for managing to cipher for what I would say is the best Saturday of goals I've ever seen since I've been working here. It has been nothing short of sensational, the vibes that we've had from Marco, from Phil, Mike, and of course, you know, we're a family here on Scoreline, and Sam Gallagher has just wrapped off what's been an incredible hour and a half worth of action. But talking about our family, right? We always make sure we give enough knowledge and enough credit to a lot of people that work here and work really hard on the show. And someone right now though, who's in Geneva doing his best and of course doing his UEFA license, one of the greatest minds in the game is Ian Joy. Yes, we call him the loud Scotsman, as we say on the show. And credit to you, my friend, because UEFA's certification in football management is exactly where you should be. We're going to give you your flowers. The world is going to give you your flowers, and the way that you keep giving back to football, rightfully so, my friend, you deserve to be at all of the top tables. So congratulations all the way, and I'm going to give you a round of applause. We're going to start it off here, right? Yeah, Ian, I know you right now, you're probably with a glass of champagne and maybe with a bottle of Guinness as well or something else.
He's got some iron brew. He's got his iron brew.
Let's hope the family around you, and credit to you, my friend. I know the work that you're putting in, and flowers to you as always. Kudos. Mike Lahoud, thank you so much for rocking with the best. You know what time it is. This has been Scoreline. This has been 2 hours of sensational football and highlights. And we're going to keep it locked here, because on the Golazo Network, this is the only place to be if you want all of the best football news. See you soon.
See you Sunday, Jim. Whoa! Delivery!
Thanks, Kirk.
You like that? See you Sunday, Jim.